There is no antidote for me. Who will have the fortune of facing me today? So many strings waiting to be pulled. Come, look me in the eyes.
What is up guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to play Cassiopeia. This is a champion I would call the hyper carry of the mages because she has insane DPS, and then she's also one of those few champions who gets to build 6 full items, meaning that she cannot build boots, so she can actually build 6 offensive items if she wants to. Oh, by the way guys, has your browser been draining your PC recently? Then I have good news, because today's video is sponsored by Opera GX, a browser made specifically for gamers. I use it as my daily browser because it has many awesome features such as GX control, which lets you limit the CPU or RAM of the browser to get rid of lag and enhance the gaming performance on your PC. You can also limit the network bandwidth used by the GX browser to gain even more performance in games and streams compared to other browsers who just eat up everything. Then we also have a lot of customization options, so you can customize your browser the way you want it to, with different themes, wallpapers and colors. I personally love the dark mode. GX Corner is another cool feature that lets you stay up to date with new and free games, deals and gaming news all in one place. Opera GX is also available on mobile, and it can be connected to the desktop version. Download Opera GX now by using the link in the description to support my channel. Thanks to Opera GX for sponsoring today's video. So we go ahead and start with the E. It does not deal any damage to one, guys. So what it does is that it has almost no cooldown. And it's a single target damaging ability, and if you kill a target with it, then you get all of the mana back. And because the target needs to be poisoned first before it actually starts dealing damage, you really want to make sure the minion are super low HP before you use it. Because if you do not kill the minion with that E, guys, then you're going to end up losing a decent amount of mana. So just use that E to last it with, and because we started with the tear, then we also stacking that up in the process. And then we have the Q, which is a skill shot. And that is where you can start poisoning people, and then if a target is poisoned and you hit them with the E, it deals a lot more damage, and it also heals you for some of the damage dealt. And the good thing about your Q is that, first of all, it gives you bonus movement speed if you hit an enemy champion. So you can use this to avoid face checking. Like if you think somebody's camping in the bush, then you can just Q the bush, and if you get some bonus movement speed, it means that somebody's there. And then we have W, which is another ability that can poison the targets as long as they're standing on it. But that is not the OP part. The OP part of this W is that if somebody's standing on it, they cannot use any movement ability. They cannot flash out, they cannot dash out or anything. So this is your way of shutting down the target completely. If you're playing against a mobile target, then you can make them completely immobile. You see, when you get under the tower, that's where you start playing aggressive. But this is a hyper carry. It means that it is a late game skilling champion. So you will not be getting a lot of kills in the early game. It is very rare. So if you see some videos where you just start popping off with like 5 kills in the early game, yeah, that's not going to happen in 9 out of 10 games. You are playing a skilling champion. You can still play aggressive in the right matchups. Like right now we are of course playing her in the top lane, but the build and playstyle is the exact same for top and mid. Also make sure that you're weaving in auto attacks like I'm doing right here. It's important, especially in the early game, because your auto attacks will deal a lot more damage when you also have the Conqueror. It helps stacking it up faster and also dealing more damage. Just always last hit with your E. You barely use your auto attacks to last hit with. It's always your E, because you get the mana back when you last hit, and you also get to stack up the tear. So it's a waste using your auto attacks to last hit with, unless you would be missing a minion or something. You see, every single time he's walking up to farm a minion, that is how or where I'm aiming my Q. So I'm trying to like predict the moment they're stopping to auto attack a minion, and that's when I throw out the Q. And when they're poisoned, then you just spam your E. Still do be careful in the early game because you don't have the biggest mana pool, so if you keep spamming your abilities, you are gonna run out of mana really fast. That is exactly why I'm weaving in the auto attacks in the early game. Extra damage, and you also get that presence of mind going. Just auto attacking a bunch here. You can see the presence of mind constantly reactivating every single time we get some damage off, allowing us to get some mana back faster. That's a fair 80 carry, that's always nice to see, and now we have the ultimate up. So it's an area ability, and if champions are facing in your direction, you're gonna stun them. But if they're not facing in your direction, they will just be slowed. So obviously, the best case scenario is that they're trying to engage or something on top of you and then use your ultimate to stun them. Then you place the W on them so they cannot use any mobility spell, like summoner spell or ability, and then you just burst them down. Because your DPS is insane. Just stacking up a big wave here, and then we can harass him under the tower. Or we can use this as a chance to reset. You see, because I have been weaving in my auto attacks a lot, I only ran out of mana right now, despite poking him down the entire landing phase. Now he is resetting, he's gonna TP back, so we can just reset as well. I have to disable the chat right here. So the best mythic item you can buy on this champion is of course the Liandry's, which becomes even better if you're playing against bruisers and tanks. Right now we're playing against 2 of them, because it deals a lot more damage against those champs, but even if you're not playing against them, it is still the best mythic item, because of how well it synergizes with your champion. And also that ability haste, like even though your E has a low cooldown, getting a lot more ability haste actually makes a big difference, because she'll become like a machine gun Cassiopeia with that E. So it's the same thing honestly, is that you stay back, you hit a Q, then you can walk up and spam the E a bit to get some free damage off, that also gives you sustain. And then you back off, or you can keep chasing if you're gonna win the fight. It is a scaling champion, so again some difficult matchups you'll get poked out, especially because you cannot buy boots, so it's a lot harder to dodge. You know, incoming skill shots and stuff. You are getting bonus movement speed like every single time you level up. But still, since you cannot buy boots on this champion, skill shot reliant matchups can be very difficult if you don't know what you're doing. Shen walked out of vision, so that means he was going to ult in the bottom side, so we can just push out the top wave. The thing about playing this champion in the top lane is actually she's very strong if you can get the right matchup. Especially if they're playing a tank, because this champ is a tank shredder. You are building anti-tank items, and then you also have an anti-tank kit with the poison and the E spam, because it has almost no cooldown. So you can shred them really fast, like a hyper carry in the bot lane would do. The only downside of playing this champion top is that you don't have really good tower pushing potential, because like you don't have, you know, Sheen procs or empowered auto attacks or anything, so that's going to take a while unless you have a big wave with you. And a fully stacked Conqueror just like that, and just keep perma spamming the abilities. It's a lot easier when you had the Lost Chapter, because then you get some mana back every time you level up.
It's just not possible to sink to the level of this competition.
Also, I am playing with Ghost instead of TP. You can play with TP, but These are the two best summoners you can ever use on Cassiopeia. Nothing will ever be better, because this champion is immobile, so you need all that mobility you can get. And you get everything you want with the double sums you have. It also scales a lot better into the late game, it makes you a lot better at teamfighting, kiting, and so on, and also chasing people. You can also do that ultimate into flash combo. If the target is low HP, for example, then you can do that to like surprise them, get a stun off if they're facing in your direction, and then you can finish them off. In this case, hitting the slow was enough on the Shen because he was not turned against us. So it would only slow, but that was enough because then we could like hit the Q and the W and then take him down. So that was a pretty easy kill, and now we can go ahead and buy the Lion Race, which is the first big item you're going to purchase. At this point now, you want to get the Rylas, which is another item that makes it hard to escape from you, because the passive is going to slow. And Cassiopeia is probably one of the best champions at abusing the Rylas, because like if you hit people with AoE, the slow is not as good. But Cassiopeia's main damaging ability is single target. So you get to proc the full slow on them, right? And you keep spamming that ability so they just stay slow the entire fight. So on top of having double mobility sums and some mobility from your Q when you hit somebody with it, an enemy champion, and then you also had the Rylas, so this is where you really start coming online. And what happened right here is a very good example of the damage you can deal as Cassiopeia, and this is only in the early game. This is only in the early game, and we only have one item, the Lion Race. But this is the DPS you can deal, so you can actually fight most champs in the game. Late game you can also 1 versus 1 any champ in the game, but of course it's also like skill reliant, like you have to play it really good as well in some matchups. But you have the damage to be able to 1 versus 1 anyone. But this is why it's so hard to play melee champs into Cassiopeia. Because if you make a mistake, or if you get hit by her Q and the W, you're gonna auto lose. Like you can see that was the case with the Shen here, there's also going to be the case with any other tank champion. Is that you have so high consistent DPS that they simply cannot match that. So unless they're engaging to set you up for a gank, they're gonna auto lose. That's why she's also very strong as a top laner. Building the components towards the Rylas. There's going to be a really nice spike as soon as you have that item, and then of course if you're playing against a pretty tanky team, you also want to get the Void Staff. So like a 3 item power spike, that is what you're playing for. And of course this champion gets way stronger for every item you purchase. Like some champions already stop killing when they have 5 damaging items, because the other item is going to be the boots, but this champion is able to build 6 legendary items. So you can opt into something defensive as your 6th item. You can also buy another tank shredding item like the Demonic Embrace. You have a lot of options. We're just AFK in topside, you know, pushing it down and focus on getting really good CS per minute. We're already sitting, or almost sitting at 10 CS per minute, which is insanely good. Like if you can do this, probably not every game, but most of your games focus on farming, then you'll be able to carry a lot more games. Yeah, I was not expecting the Shen to come in right here, so that's my fault that we end up dying. And also, I completely forgot that Amumu Q almost has no cooldowns. I actually think he got like 3 Qs off in that fight. But I could have taken out the Amumu. Like, I would have died, but I could have killed the Amumu as well here if I hit that last Q. Because you can see, if you do not poison the target, then your E deals no damage and you're gonna auto lose any fight. So this champion is very reliant on the target being poisoned. And this poison does scale with other champions who has poison. You know, like Teemo, Twitch and Singed. If you have these champions on your team and they apply poison to a target, then yes, it does work with your E. You don't have to hit your Q. So that is actually some really good synergy you can have on your team if you have one of these champs. The most common one you'll probably have is the Twitch, the AD carry. But he also has the AoE poison with his W, so that's also nice. I actually don't remember if Twitch is poison or not, but Teemo and Singe definitely is. Now that I think about it, I'm not quite sure if Twitch auto attack and stuff is considered poison, but if it works then it's nice. But we're still pushing our top side and then we're just playing a bit careful here because we don't see a Mumu. Like, you can 1 vs 2 on this champ, but you have to like set them up perfectly. And of course we see him now. That's why I was not walking up previously, because then he could like ult me again and I would just die. You can win this fight if you like dodge their high CC abilities. You have to be good at dodging the skill shots and then also those point and click CC abilities or AoE abilities. If you can do that, then you can easily 1 vs 2 the tanks. That should be no problems. You can pick this champion into a lot of matchups, but what you have to be careful of is high ranged matchups. You know, Serath, Vel'Koz and so on, because that is going to be so hard. You can see you do not have any gap closer on this champion. That means that you will have a very hard time of getting within range of certain champs, like the Serath for example. He can just poke you from super far away and you cannot do anything about it. This is a good example of you being able to 1 vs 2 very easily. If you manage to hit the stun with that ultimate, you stun both people, then you can just switch the target to the squishy one or the high prio target. That was the Janna in this case, because she's very squishy, so we can take her out fast before she gets to like Kaidos and stuff. But if you can land your stuff in a fight, you get a good stun off with your ultimate, then place the W below them so they cannot flash away. That should be a pretty free kill that you can turn into another kill. I am prioritizing split pushing a lot on this champion and also most other mid laners, because that is how I managed to get these high CS numbers. We're really unfortunate. First of all, my ultimate just came up, and second, Shen ultimate. Otherwise we would have killed this area too. But you can see that's a massive damage spike we are having at this point. That's of course because we managed to pick up 4 kills, but mostly, more importantly, because we have been farming up well. On these scaling champions, farming up is everything. You know, Cassian, Victor, Vladimir, Cassiopeia, Veigar, and so on. Like, farming is the most important thing you can do. Because when you play scaling champions, you'll not be able to get kills every single game. Unlike something like AD assassins, AP assassins, and so on. So farming is the best thing you can do every game. Now we are starting to group up because the dragon is spawning, so we can start helping out the team. You play her like an AD carry in the fight, you just hit whoever is closest and focus on bursting them down. We landed a really nice double ultimate. And that's a couple of free kills right there. So you can see I landed the ultimate, then I placed the W below them, so if they had flash up or something, then they could not do that instantly. They would be stuck there for a while. That's why it's so annoying to play against Cassiopeia when she's able to place that W properly, because it completely gets rid of any opportunity to dash away, flash away, or anything. So that meant the Amumu was stuck there and the Shen too. And if you hit something like a Z with it in a fight, like I placed that W below him, he will not be able to use his ultimate or his W. Like, it can really screw over those assassins. Even something like a LeBlanc, like place that W below and she's gonna be stuck. You can probably kill her before she gets to leave that zone too. Or at least put her completely out of the fight. We just want to stay in the backline with your AD carry. You just hit whoever is closest to you. You are pretty much the AP version of an AD carry, except you scale better damage wise because you have 6 damaging items. So just hit whoever is closest, does not matter if it's a tank, a bruiser, an assassin or whatever it is. Just focus down the first target with your AD carry. You will take them out really fast because you have tank shredding capabilities with your itemization and your E. You take them out, then you move on to the next target. The good thing is that Cassiopeia can take out tanks a lot faster than most other mid laners in the entire game. Actually, I do think she's the fastest tank shredder, if I remember it right. If you miss your Qs a lot, guys, what you can do after you get the Rylas, because I said your E is a single target ability, so you proc a better slow, is that you can just E them, even if they're not poison. If you E them, they'll get slowed, and then you can hit them with a Q, and then you start spamming your E. That is something high elo Cassiopeia players do a lot, because like people are or become extremely good at dodging stuff in higher elos. Of course not support mains, but everyone else become really good mechanically, so just spamming your E for the slow so you can hit them with a Q can actually make a big difference. We need a bit more gold to get the Void Staff. I'm getting as the 4th item right here because I did not need to buy it as the 3rd one. It's a way bigger spike to get the Sarah's Embrace, but now we just need 1550 gold, then we have the Void Staff, and then we can shred the tanks with the Lianries and the Void Staff. If you are playing against 2 or more heavy tanks who are itemizing a lot of MR, you get the Void Staff a bit earlier, so you can get it before the Archangels, and then you also get the Demonic Embrace. That is going to shred them to pieces. That is a lot of anti-tank you have, but you don't only have to buy damaging items. You can also build a tank item if you want to as your 6th item. You're pretty much free to buy whatever you want, because at that point, when you get to a 6th item, you already have all the items you need. So that 6th item can be defensive, maybe something that can help you stay alive in fights, or something that can help you shred the tanks too. And this right here, people, is what happens if you overextend into Cassiopeia. You are not escaping because of the Rider's proc, and then she also has Flash and Ghost. So even if you dash away, she will catch up. Okay, it's a bit interesting that Janna did not get stunned. She probably saw that ultimate coming in. But she did exhaust and flash away, so it's still worth it. Because look at how low cooldown my ultimate has right now. Because we have 71 ability hits, so it's a pretty low cooldown. Like, it is almost up for the next fight. So me trading sums, or not sums, but the ultimate for Janna sums, super worth it. And that is the soul carry potential you have on Cassiopeia. It is a mechanically difficult champion, but if you're very good at the champ, you can easily pull off a lot of 1 vs 2s, 1 vs 3s and so on. That right there was way too close. I actually think that one minion could have killed me. But this is a good example of what you can do or pull off with this champion. So it is a real 1 vs 5 champion, as long as you have mastered the kit. Like, it has a very unique playstyle because you don't auto attack or last hit with your auto attacks. And you have to be really good at kiting around. You know, inputting movement commands while spamming your E and other abilities. Unlike, for example, AD carries who just have to focus on auto attacking, this champion has shorter range. So you need to be good at inputting movement commands, dodging everything, while also using your abilities simultaneously. So it's a very difficult champion to master, but also very rewarding. So a champion you can pick up if you're looking for a high DPS champion that is one of the best at shredding tanks. And anyone else for that matter. I could have used that blue buff, but yeah, probably needs the gold for something. Like, it's very nice if you can get a blue buff on Cassiopeia because you spam abilities. Just stay in the backline like I'm doing, guys. Hit whoever is closest. Just look at how fast everybody is getting shredded. This is the DPS you're getting with this champ. Nice, and we also had the Rammus just popping off. I think he was holding like 2 people alone while still killing them. But this champion really makes it hard for the enemy team to play bruisers and tanks. Any champion that relies on engaging onto in a team fight, if they make a single mistake, they will die. Which is usually not the case for tanks and bruisers because they have so much survivability, but against the Cassiopeia, as long as you're not super far behind, your tank shredding capabilities will take them out really fast. Be really smart about when you're using your W as well, because it does have a decent cooldown. You can use it to zone them away from an entrance, but even better if you can get a flash ult, stun multiple people, place a W on them, they'll be stuck, and then just spam your E and kill them. You see just people constantly trying to engage, but like the good thing here is that you're building a lot of like HP items in your build. So while having a lot of damage, you're also very tanky. And it's not broken because this champion is immobile, right? She has to hit something to get her mobility. She has to hit the Q. There's also like, if you make a mistake in fights like in the super late game, then you will also die. But at the same time, you're also very good at punishing people. But that was how you play Cassiopeia. Hope this was helpful, thanks for watching and see y'all later.